tangled up and embroiled in a sticky web of karma and their reactions, and that our reactions, follow us in our life, and unwholesome actions follow us with painful results. Wholesome actions follow with wholesome results. But anyway, so it's that understanding, and there's many aspects of the right understanding, but even understanding the nature of meditation practice, what's it involved, and so on. And then, so that understanding in the beginning is intellectual. But then as you reflect and you do some practice, that intellectual understanding then becomes a little deeper, because you start to see how it's working in your life, and you start to understand on a deeper level than just purely intellectual what suffering is, what craving is, what pain is, and how to help to overcome that, or at least to minimize that, understand about the law of karma. And as you start to practice the precepts, then you understand how, as you're able to follow the precepts in life, especially those eightfold path precepts, or the ones you recited at the beginning of the retreat. Those are how we integrate our body and mind into the world, because it's the precepts that you're interacting with the world out there. And that is where the strongest kind of karma is created, especially the negative types of karma, allowing the mind to get caught up in unwholesome habits and thoughts, being influenced by the media and all these influences brought about the internet. Life was a lot simpler before the internet. In many ways. Anyway, so but coming back to the actual practice, so normally, like the things that we've been doing here, normally if people, want to make gradual progress in the meditation, ideally one should meditate twice a day. Because meditation is our mind, developing our mindfulness and concentration is like a muscle, and just like, if you lift some weights, if you stop lifting after a while, you won't be able to lift the same weight you could, in a couple months later. You have to retrain them all the time. So the same way with our mind, if you don't exercise mindfulness, because it is an exercise, keep being mindful when your mind has got carried away, and to keep bringing it back, being mindful of what you're doing. So it takes a lot of effort to do that. So the meditating twice a day, ideally for a minimum of, I would say, 30 minutes. Somebody was asking yesterday, is 10 minutes enough a day for practice? And I'm sorry to say, I doubt it. 30 minutes is, I would say, is a bare minimum. Even though Transcendental Meditation was touting 20 minutes. It's a good place to start, of course, but anyway, let's say on a general average, people that may have made steady progress in their lives in meditation, normally they meditate twice a day, a minimum of 30 minutes, usually an hour. Because the meditation in the morning helps us set up, and also yoga. It helps us set up that vibration of awareness, maybe being more centered and, for the day ahead. When you go to the office and you get started getting involved with your family and all that, then that mindfulness or awareness that you did in your morning practice will stay with you longer, so that you won't make so many mistakes. You'll be more mindful in your interactions with your family members or your colleagues at work or the general public. But usually that will wear off by about noontime, the effects of a meditation practice. Of course, it depends on how deep that practice is, but most people's practice is probably not going to be that deep. But so it wears off. And then in the evening, then one of the better forms of meditation, at least to start with, is to practice forgiveness and metta. So during the day, you might have gotten, cranky with somebody, or you might have did something unskillful, or somebody did something unskillful to you, and you're holding some, bad vibrations about that, or just being all stressed out from the day. So, but especially forgiveness. If anything happened during the day that you're kind of still holding some memory, a person who cut you off on a freeway, or the person who did something, whatever, told a lie about you, trying to steal your job at work or something. So you forgive them. You don't hold that in your mind as a kind of a poison. You practice forgiveness, to forgive anybody who you think might have done something to you wrong, whatever it's speech or some action or something else. And also to forgive yourself. Because, if you, we all make mistakes too sometimes, slip up, or people take our actions sometime in the wrong way, and think we actually did something to them when actually maybe we didn't. But anyway, to forgive oneself, forgive the other, forgive oneself if you did anything, and then send out metta to everybody, knowing that, we're all like little children learning how to walk. A young baby, when it's learning how to walk, it takes a couple of steps and falls down, right? His knee muscles are still weak. But it gets back up and keeps on going, and finally he gets the muscles built up in his or her legs and arms, and then they can start walking. So we're all like that in Dhamma practice. And when it comes to Dhamma practice and living skillfully in the world, because for many of us, our lives were, not based on the Dhamma for the first 20 years of our life or more. So we, probably did a lot of unskillful things. And if you ever read my autobiography, in my 25 years of my young life, I did a lot of things. But, things can change. So, anyway, so you start your meditation with that kind of forgiveness, and then, practicing metta, or then finish off with the regular kind of mindfulness meditation to calm down. Or, each person's going to find out a way to do that for themselves. What help seems to work the best. But apart from those 2 times of meditation, now, how many of you have already started to say, "Oh, when I go home, I'm going to get up at 6 in the morning. I'm going to do some yoga exercise and practice meditation"? Anybody was thinking about that already? Maybe I'm going to meditate in the evening too. And you go home, and maybe you do for the first couple of days. But then, because you're on a retreat for a couple of days, there's things you neglected for a few days, and they kind of catch up to you, and little by little, you had to, or if you've been to longer retreats, and maybe somebody covered for you at work, and now you have to cover for somebody else, and catch up on things, you get tired. So usually the first thing that happens at evening meditation, it gets let go. You're too tired, you come home at night, you just want to jump into bed or watch a horror movie or something. I don't know. But, too tired to meditate. And then, but you still do the morning meditation. And maybe after a week or two in the morning meditation, slowly, 45-minute meditation drops to 30-minute meditation. And a few more days later, the 30-minute meditation drops to a 15-minute meditation. And a few more days later, you're walking out the door, swigging down your last cup of joe, and you pat the Buddha on the head and say, Namo Buddhaya, you meditate for me. And that's all your meditation. That ring true to anybody? Unfortunately, that happens to a lot of people. So, what to do? So that's why for people that find it difficult to maintain a daily practice, or even if you do a daily practice, there's this practice of M&Ms that I know you've all heard about already, and there was that article in that package that was, also in that little booklet. So practicing the M&Ms stands for a minute of meditation, or a minute of mindfulness. And so it's a supplement for your longer meditations, or especially if you don't do longer meditations, then it's even more important to do them. But you train yourself to stop every hour for 1 minute, just between jobs, or you set a beeper on your watch, or even apps now that you can get that will remind you to stop. And you just, whatever you're doing, just stop and sort of freeze and bring your mind to the present moment. And let go of that push to the future, let go of whatever you were ruminating on, and take a deep, slow breath and bring the mind to the body. Just take 2 or 3 of those deep, slow breaths. Again, if you can train yourself to do that 6x3 breathing, or that alone, 2 or 3 of those breaths is already 1 minute. And just to keep your mind on the present moment, just keep remembering, breathing in, standing, breathing out, standing, breathing in, standing, breathing out, standing, and just try to keep your mind in the present moment for 1 minute. And you can relax, especially if you do that deep, slow breathing. It's one of the most powerful ways to really bring the mind back, inside, and to relax that whatever stress is there. You could even do it a little longer, but after that 1 minute, then you continue doing what you were doing. But you kind of basically you use that to get recentered. Now, in that 1 minute, you can also send out metta, especially if somebody was, even do the on-the-spot forgiveness. If something happens, some situation, in the very next time you practice an M&M, forgive them for what they did, or forgive yourself, so you don't take that into the next hour, or take it home with you. So this practicing the M&Ms is like reducing stress hour by hour, rather than accumulating it hour by hour as the average person does. People go through the day, they get up in the morning, they get up late, and get frustrated. Oh my gosh, I'm going to jump up and run to the bathroom and trip over something left on the floor by their spouse or children. They might injure their arm. And you go to the bathroom, somebody used the last bit of the shampoo. Go down to the kitchen, you get your breakfast, somebody used the last bit of the milk, or the eggs, and you get upset. And your coffee machine is broken. You go out to start your car, it won't start. You go to the office, your computer's not working. The janitor hid your pencils or something. All these little stresses, right? These are real things that happen to people, right? And or you get a phone call in the mid-morning from the police saying your children, one of your child, son or daughter got picked up for playing hooky from school, or got caught smoking marijuana on the corner, whatever, Or worse, you get a call from the doctor saying that pap smear or that some test you got came out negative. All these times when the mind kind of panics, and get into that flight and fight response. And that's the time when you really need to, have that ability to stay calm and not to, get overly excited. So by doing the M&Ms hour by hour, you'll be more in a position of when you get surprises, news, and so on, you'll be able to say, okay, this has happened. Don't get excited. Maybe it's not so bad. Don't build a mountain out of a molehill, or worst case scenario. And most people's minds just immediately run into all these things, right? And then a lot of times all these things never pan out. The mind creates a worst case scenario, and in the end, nothing ever happened about it or something. Like you get a phone call from somebody, oh, your son or daughter was in a traffic accident, they're in the hospital. Immediately you panic and thinking the worst, and you go there and you go in and say, oh, I'm fine, I just had a little scratch, but you got all, worked up over minor matters. So that's how the mind normally works. So when you're in a more relaxed mode, when you've learned to be living more in your parasympathetic nervous system as opposed to the sympathetic one. And that daily practice of the yoga and the meditation helps to maintain your nervous system in that more parasympathetic mode, where there's more space and relaxation there. So if you're able to do those M&Ms during the day, then when you go home at night, hopefully you won't be so burned out, and you will want to do longer meditation in the evening. And when you do a meditation in the evening, then you have a better sleep probably, and you get up more refreshed, and then maybe want to do the meditation in the morning too. And once you see how all these things are integrated, that's how, this idea of the whole practice. A lot of people think meditation, they treat it as just like taking a pill once a day, okay? Oh, just meditate, sit down, chant a mantra for 5 minutes, and watch the breath, and it's kind of divorced from the rest of their life. But we have to see how, the meditation and the life is one whole, it's holistic, right? So that's the way that we have to try to, use all these different aspects of the practice to help to make it easier. I mean, Dhamma shouldn't be that difficult, but people's lives make it difficult. And apart from the M&Ms, like stopping once an hour, there's other times during the day when you got 5 extra seconds, 10 extra seconds here and there where you're kind of idle time, waiting for something to happen, and the mind just automatically kind of looks around, gets distracted or starts criticizing somebody's hairdo or clothing or how they treat their kids. The mind's always wanting to get out there and criticize and make comments on others because it has nothing else to do. And that's its sort of excitement, or it's a way to make you feel good by seeing the faults in others, or kind of is the mask to make us feel better about, mask our own, remaining faults. So anyway, I especially give the example of Well, even at your car, you're driving your car, you come to a light, right? Now they tell you got 30 minutes, 30 seconds to wait for the green light, right? So, okay, instead of looking around at people's cars or getting angry at somebody else, just come to the body, just take a deep breath, and just feel your hand on the wheel, buttocks pressing the seat, just sitting, breathing. And then, of course, you don't want to get too much in samadhi, because then when the person behind you will start honking, "Hey, buddy, it's green light." So you have to maintain that awareness of the outer and the inner. That's really meditation, is finding that balance, not getting lost in the outside, but not getting lost in the inside, and learning how to balance those two. So they work to be able to effortlessly go in and out. That's really the skill in meditation, how to effortlessly go in and out. If there's nothing particular to do, bam, just come to the outline of the body and just touch base with that silent vibrations inside. I mean, it's easy to do once you practice it a little bit. But not get so stuck in that if something needs to be done. Like if your baby's crying, just don't say hearing. Get up and go see what needs to be done. Or if somebody else, an old person is walking across the road struggling with their cart or something, you go help them. There are plenty of opportunities that you can, practice compassion and things in the daily life too. So, and then one of my favorite examples is, going shopping. So no one likes to go shopping, but, you can make fun of it. I mean, so do mindful walking down the aisle, as I think I mentioned one time. And then when you come to the checkout counter, you have to wait in a line. So instead of, getting upset about how many groceries the person has in front of you, or somebody cut in the line, or maybe the cashier's little ribbon thing is broken, you're fiddling with it, trying to, and you feel yourself getting frustrated, you practice metta. Or if you're standing there waiting and then your eyes kind of get attracted and Michael Jackson was reborn? One of those tabloid magazines. Queen Elizabeth died. So, not letting your mind go to the candy bars. Just take a couple deep, slow breaths. Just standing, breathing, sending out metta. So all these little, even if it's just for 10 or 15 seconds here or there, you can get a nice feeling from that, and think that you're doing something, not just getting frustrated, whatever, letting your mind give you some negative thoughts. So these are, this is really actually the Dhamma practice where it counts, because it's out there in the world where you create most of your karma. You might create some good karma coming to the temple and so on, but that's just once in a while, right? Or in your meditation. But, 3/4 of the time you're out there in the world with people in the midst of all kind of negativities and everything else. And that's where we need to have our mindfulness to not get sucked into all these conspiracy theories. There's so many crazy things going on these days, and all these other partisan divides that are, causing a lot of anxiety. There's not a whole lot we can do about it, and there's no reason to even get angry about it. And let them do what they do, but just keep to your own business, and not let your mind get affected by those things, at least too much. Okay, so having said all that, I want to see if there's any last questions that any of you may have about practicing in daily life, or any other question.
I have a question. investigating yourself during meditation. As a beginner, I'm learning how to be centered and more mindful. Should I ignore any internal thoughts that would pop up that would concern the Eightfold Path in my daily life, or is it all right to stop and ponder this?
Well, you can. Actually, thinking about the Dhamma, even in meditation, that's anusati, dhammanusati, and so on, silanusati. They're reflective meditation. So it's all meditation isn't just trying to stop your thoughts and so on. But thinking about the Dhamma, I mean, that is the second step of the Eightfold Path. Once you get right understanding, you have to continue thinking about the Dhamma. And if there's not enough time to think about the Dhamma when you're not meditating, think about it while you're meditating. Don't be in a rush to get some imagined samadhis and all these other things that people talk about. Even in my first meditation course in Nepal, I took a 1 month that was my first meditation course ever, was a 1 month meditation course. Most people here, if you say, can you come to a weekend meditation? A whole weekend? Oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? And they think a weekend meditation is really a big deal. Somebody told me about a meditation course. I said, yeah, I want to go. There's 1 month. Who cares? Just go, Didn't think about it. But in that meditation course, it was mostly thinking meditation, the Tibetan style, the Lam Rim, if you're familiar with that. But it's all very good. So it's about thinking about the Four Noble Truths, thinking about karma, thinking about rebirth, thinking about greed, hatred, and delusion, thinking about developing friendliness, compassion for all beings, but actually thinking about it, not just trying to follow your breath in and out, although that's sometimes done at the beginning, but you actually memorize a whole list of things and you think about it while you're meditating. But you can reach access concentration by even doing that kind of thinking meditation and get quite high off of doing it. I did. And so, yes, you can do that. But you shouldn't make a habit of it. But especially if you notice something in your mind that's not skillful, then just reflect on that and try to make the determination, or when a negative thought comes up, you have to practice right effort. So the right effort to abandon unwholesome thoughts that come to your mind. And usually the way we do that is to replace them with the opposite kind of thought. So if a thought of anger comes into your mind, you replace it with a thought of metta. Instead of, may that person have a heart attack tomorrow, or may that person be well and happy, free from suffering. Or whatever words help you to resolve that. And so, but that requires mindfulness. See, that's why mindfulness always comes first. Actually, there's three things what the Bhante Gunaratana calls the 3 pillars of the Eightfold Path. So in the Eightfold Path, there's, all the 8 steps, but 3 of them are the most important. How many know which of those 3?
They just finished a series of discussion on Eightfold Path.
Who did?
On weekly basis, we just finished.
Okay, then what are those 3 pillars? Don't say it. I want them to say it. Anybody remember?
I get it wrong.
Well, I help you. The right understanding is the most important part. That's why it's number 1 on the Eightfold Path, right? And then right mindfulness. And then right effort. Now I'll explain how that works. So the right understanding understands what is right, and it understands what is wrong, according to karma, right? So, if a wrong thought enters your mind, you mindfully acknowledge, you have to be mindful and apply the right understanding that this is a wrong thought. Let's say an urge to tell a lie or to cheat on your income tax or whatever it might be. And then the effort to abandon that unwholesome intention and replace it with the wholesome intention. So instead of telling a lie, tell the truth. Instead of stealing something, give something to somebody. Instead of intoxicating your mind and making it stupid, sit down and meditate for an hour. Make it more strong and bright. So, but it requires those three things. First, you have to understand what you're about to do. Is it something skillful or unskillful? Then mindfully, you're aware. You have to be mindful of when especially the negative one comes in, and then apply the right effort to eliminate it. So that is applied to all the steps of the Eightfold Path.
We have two questions.
Are those new questions? Oh, I didn't know anybody wrote one down. But did that answer your question? Well, like even in meditation, you can think about the five aggregates. You can, sitting down, okay, what is this body like? Because it's physical body. Then the feeling, pleasant, painful, neutral feelings, perceptions, little mental names and labels that pop out of the mind. That's a dog talking, or various sounds. And then your urges, the thoughts, or your mental formations. And then the thought of I, me, or mine. That's how I kind of, on a practical level, define the consciousness. Because consciousness is something that's very difficult to actually see. Because even perception is consciousness. Because there's no perception without consciousness. But it's a sense of the I there. So whenever you have the sense of, that thought or feeling of I or me or mine comes in, that's ego consciousness. So that's a kind of an easier, direct way of understanding the consciousness, right? Not making it too difficult. Don't read all the Abhidhamma stuff. That'll make your mind crazy. So, not necessarily. So, like that, you could spend a whole meditation just identifying that's material form. When you hear that noise, some music. No, it's material form. Sound vibration is material form. Perception is the idea that it's music. So it's good to identify that, to make that clear in the mind so that you really understand. And so you can think about those, but you're thinking about it as it's happening in your mind, just so it becomes clear in your mind. And then later when you're meditating, it becomes sort of automatic understanding that helps you to identify those things before you've gotten lost into them, seeing how they're conditioned. How can conflict in our daily life manifest as a physical ache, knee, elbow, or neck? Can our mindfulness manifest in transformation in our physical surroundings? Well, it's true that a lot of body aches and pains have their source in the mind. You all know about psychosomatic symptoms, right? So that's a true thing. And sometimes you might wake up and you have a pain in your shoulder or pain somewhere else, and you didn't really do anything. It should cause that, but maybe you've been angry a lot about some situation, or having fear or worry about something in your life. Well, that could have caused the that type of pain too, because we may not know that, may not be that clear. Some of them might be a little bit clear, but not all of them. So the best thing is to avoid conflict by being mindful. And a lot of times we think somebody else started the conflict, but because we normally don't like to examine ourselves, and usually if one person said, "You started it," and you'll say, "No, you started it," right? Isn't that a common thing people do? They always think the other person has started the problem, because we tend to overlook our own what we might have contributed to these things. Can the mindfulness manifest in our physical surroundings? Well, yes. When you're mindful, your awareness becomes more vibrant. You start to notice a lot more things, like even flowers or vegetation sort of stands out, because your mind is clear. It's not so cluttered up with, garbage, so to speak, or anxiety when you're mindful, and you hear a lot more sounds. And so, yeah, our enhanced perception of the world can be changed like that through the practice of meditation. And also maybe stop having these fears, phobias of bugs and insects or other things like that, that some people have. You see a little spider. It's a spider, And so, to be less reactive to having fear about things, like maybe you see a certain type of person, suspicious and worried, and maybe nothing at all. But sometimes those kind of things can happen, But still, our mind tends to overreact to things. What kind of practices can help to cultivate wholesome thoughts instead of unwholesome thoughts? Try practicing the second step of the Eightfold Path, called right thought. You're asking what kind of practices can help in cultivating wholesome thoughts. It's right there, plain and simple. Cultivate the thoughts of non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. Or the thought of non-hatred. The thoughts we cultivate. The Buddha said it all. No one can say better than the Buddha. The positive affirmations, yes, they can help sometimes. Chanting Namo Buddhaya is a good positive affirmation. That means understanding that beneath the confused, erratic mind, there's always this ocean of awareness, just right there, hardly a fraction of an inch away, if we know how to look at it. Boom, present moment. It's powerful. But people never bother to do it because their mind is neurotic or just gross. And but those are the things, that those are the things that really powerful and really become some of the most helps, and you're reflecting on your karma. So, and know that we have there's a lot of aspirations even written by non-Buddhists that are very inspiring and so on, But you can be anything that you want to be if you put your mind there and things like that. But that's why the Buddhanusati, Dhammanusati, those are also things that help to inspire faith. Right? Okay.
We have a question online.
Okay.
Is feeling a deep sense of connection to something in nature or even to people, for a few fleeting moments of calmness, be considered something like meditation?
Yeah, whenever the mind becomes calm and it's not thinking about worrying about something, or it's not, kind of restless, and it's kind of in touch with the subtler vibration, that's the real test. If you can't feel anything in your body, that means you're definitely not calm. But when you can just pause and start feeling, different sensations, and that means your awareness is in a calm state, because you can't notice those things when your mind is in an agitated state. Normally. So those peaceful sensations, naturally, when the hindrances die down, that's the beginning of the meditative state. It's only the beginning, but it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. Was that her question?
Yes. Yeah, someone from YouTube has asked the question.
Oh, okay. So any last questions? Comments? Anybody think they learned something this week? So for different people will say, sometimes we ask, out of all the different things you learn or heard, which one stands out in your mind, or which one stands out? Oh, I really want to try to to do that. So we went around and asked people that. Probably people would give different replies, I suppose.
I think this year one thing what really struck me, your introductory talk that you gave. You explained about the baby, how babies are very full of consciousness and throughout the body when they're in the mother's womb, and then maybe initial period of baby's life they're still fully in their body, but then gradually we kind of lose that.
Yeah, the mind gets focused outside.
It's a very important reminder that really.
Yeah, that's why I repeat that almost all the time, because it's so powerful. But unfortunately, the baby loses that, and the parents never tell the young child as they're growing up, you should keep your connection with the body. Pause every hour and try to feel your body. That's present moment awareness. What parent ever talks to their children about present moment awareness? In the Dhamma, not much. But it would be wonderful if they could, I mean, I know a lot of Buddhist parents, and they bring their children to the temple and they do practice meditation, but it's unfortunately it's few and far between. It would be wonderful. Unfortunately, this country that has a separation of church and state, it's unfortunate that they regard meditation as some religious practice, and so they kind of frown on it. The teachers trying to teach meditation in the schools, but it would be wonderful if they could, to start the classroom. I know they do in some schools, like Montessori schools or some other schools. They do some more liberal, open-minded principles. They might not. Just a simple thing like just a minute of silence, when they start the day, or count their breaths from 1 to 10 without thinking about something. Just something very simple. But parents, if they have children, especially if they're Buddhist parents, they should try to get their parents to meditate. To get their children to meditate.
Tonight, every Sunday, Bhante, we have an online meditation for children from 7 to 8. Tonight, today.
Oh, you're doing that today? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's wonderful.
I read a very specific line, statement in the article. People try to find happiness, thinking people who are living with us should behave as they want, but it is not happen. They are thinking the people who are living together, they should act the way they wanted to do, but it is impossible thing. That statement was in that article, article.
Yeah. It's the same way with like world peace. So there's these world peace conferences. And the idea of world peace is that if everyone, believes the way Christians do, there'd be world peace. If everyone was a Buddhist, there would be world peace. If everyone was a Muslim, there'd be world peace. That's why they're trying to convert everybody, right? But it's never going to work. We know that. Or if everyone was, a communist, then there would be world peace. If everyone was a capitalist. And, that's never going to happen. So, that's kind of erroneous. That we have to change ourselves to fit the world, not trying to change the world to fit what we want. We have to make our minds flexible to fit in and adapt to the world and accept the world as it is. I mean, doing whatever we can, but ultimately the individual can't do a whole lot.
Alternative realities.
What?
What alternative realities?
Alternative
According to
reality.
facts.
Bummer was
Alternative reality?
yeah.
Well, we can make an alternative reality, by just being mindful and just only tune in to what is good and going around us and tune out all this other garbage that's going around on the outside as far as the extent possible.
That's detachment, though. I mean, that's not, the world is not wholesome thoughts and extravagance or generosity rather than greed and whatnot. And you can detach from what I would broadly call evil. But, as far as, like you said, the Muslims and the Christians and the Buddhists and the Hindus and whatnot, they're not going to agree on world peace, for example. So, I mean, yes, you can detach to it, and you can avoid your personal suffering, but I don't know how much influence you're going to have on it.
One time I was in Europe, in Denmark, back in the late 70s, early 80s. They were having in Copenhagen a big world peace conference. And this was the time of the Iran-Iraq war, I think, going on. And this man that I was staying with, I was staying in an old castle in Denmark. This man owned this kind of old kind of manor house. He called it a castle, but it was just and he was trying to make a Buddhist center out of it. So, but he invited me to go to a World Peace Conference. And so, being naive, I went there. And all it was the Iranians telling how bad the Iraqis were and how the Iraqis telling how bad the Iranians were. If we want world peace, we have to side with them. And all these other countries airing their grievances about what other countries are doing to them and thinking that their way is right, and nothing ever came out of that. Because people are not going to agree. Even look at our own country, this crazy politics, right? Republican Democrat thing.
Do the vibrations from metta, meditation, and extending merits go out to make harmonic resonance with all the destructive interferences?
It's wishful thinking, but I doubt it. Unless a certain amount of persons, and it would depend on how strong that concentration is in your mind, Now, let's say a person is practicing metta and they're just repeating, may all beings be well and happy, may all beings be well and happy, and, just kind of repeating some words like that. And then there might be somebody else that's deep in the fourth jhana, is radiating out these vibrations of oneness and without,
For now, you still together.
basic with a human being.
That does resonate with
Dalai Lama,
there is yes, that
yes.
brings stability to an unstable world. It brings order.
I had an experience in Los Angeles. This was when I was I've been a monk for maybe a few years at that. But the temple in Los Angeles. And I went to a Hare Krishna festival. It was being held in the Santa Monica Park. And there's a lot of Hare Krishnas, I think, right? And so I went down with a friend. I was in my rather freshly shaven head. And then there was a couple of inebriated guys, kind of drunk, right, on a bench, and they saw me. They started giving cat calls, and like calling names, and then one of them was egging on the other, go get in his face, go hit him or something like that. So this guy kind of staggering up, gets in front of me. What are you? Where's your ponytail? He thought I was a Hare Krishna. So he's looking around. I didn't have a little ponytail, So his friends were kind of saying, hit him, He was kind of, but I was just standing there. I was kind of vibing him, just sending out metta, just like that peaceful vibe, and I wasn't reacting to him. Kept on kind of trying to be rough like that, and his friends were egging him on, but I wasn't reacting, and then he kind of just fell back, didn't do anything and went away, So I don't know if that my vibing him like that had any effect or not, but there's different examples like that. Okay, I think time's getting away, so maybe we'll.
So we do the Okay, let us do the conclusion, dedication of minutes. But before that, we want to. It was really a very fruitful few days. I think we will remember all the very important lessons that we learned from Bhante. It's not simply intellectual learnings that we absorb, but actually more embodied kind of knowledge. And whenever we walk to the grocery store, or maybe when you're driving, you will remember all these teachings, and we'll start to practice. And I think the remembering to be in the body, and then using our mindfulness to watch our own mind, and then of course breathing, way to breathe is such a great lesson we learned from Bhante. So we want to thank Bhante with our deepest heartfelt feelings, and appreciate you taking your time and spending these few days with us. And we deeply appreciate. We know that that you share everything generously with us. So deeply appreciate coming all the way and spending this time with us, and we together. Whatever merits the good karma that we generated with this practice for a few days, we would like to dedicate that back to you, and wishing you more good health. We know that you are healthier than many of us here, but we want to wish you more health and more longer life to help so many others to be healthy in body and mind. So please accept our offerings, and we wish you We will do that one thing. Maya katang punyang samina anumoditabbang
Sadhu, sadhu.
samina katang punyang mayhanda tabbang
Dadami.
oka sabandami bante oka sadvaratena katang sabbang aparadang kamatami bante oka sakamami bante. Without with knowing or unknowing, if you have done anything that may have hurt you, disturbed you, we ask forgiveness from you. Any act of negligence we may have done, please forgive us, Bhante.
May you be well, happy, and peaceful. May all your hopes and wishes succeed. May you attain freedom from suffering in this very life.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
We will now offer the token of appreciation, and on behalf of all of you, we have prepared these gifts and also a special offering to the Bhante. So you all are part of that offering. So please come and offer this to Bhante. We appreciate his time and his help. This is for his meditation center, Line of Wisdom Meditation Center in Gaithersburg. So you can actually go there and spend, his time there. They have a place, and so that's for the center.
Yeah, if you don't know about my center there in Maryland, it's just between Gaithersburg and Germantown, if you're familiar with that area, about a 45-minute drive from Washington, D.C. We have a large house there, and we have people can come and stay there on for overnight retreats as well as even on self-retreats. We have a couple of cabins in a separate building that people can come join our daily morning and evening meditations. And we have
a beautiful place in between farmlands. Bhante has done a great job in making that place a nice place with a lot of beautiful gardening and upkeeping of the center.
Now that I come here, I see that he does a better job here.
Yeah,
I keep mine very simple because I don't want to.
And I also want to thank you because of you. Actually, we were able to do this retreat, and this is the first retreat after post-COVID first retreat, and we were hesitant. We were thinking about whether people will be willing to come and practice. But we got a good response, and we really appreciate your participation, your dedication, and your donation and everything. Thank you very much. We look forward to see you again in another retreat. And we also want to thank all the families who sponsored food and refreshments, and they were so nicely prepared and delicious. And thank you very much for all the families, and also thank you also for all our Bhantes, who actually worked so hard behind the curtain, to make sure everything is smooth running. Let us enjoy each other, and let us share these merits with all others. And first of all, let's think about departed relatives, any ancestors, any parents or grandparents or whoever who cared for us so much, who are no more with us today. Let us think about them and share these merits with them all. May they too be able to practice meditation in their next life, and may they continue their spiritual growth. May all of them be free from suffering. May all of them enjoy the freedom of sublime Nibbana. Let us chant together. Idam mi ñātinam hotu sukhita buntu ñātayo. Idam mi ñātinam hotu Sukhita Huntu Nyatayo Idang Mi Nyatinam Hotu Sukhita Huntu Nyatayo. Let us also share these merits with all other beings in the world. If there's any being who would like to share this merit, may he or she do so. May all the beings in all 6 realms share these merits, particularly people or the other beings who may have not learned these teachings, this wisdom. Let us share these merits with them. May they too have access to listen to the Dhamma and practice the Dhamma and grow in their compassion and wisdom. May all beings share our merits. May all beings progress in their spiritual path. May all beings be free from all forms of suffering and attain the sublime peace of Nibbana. Ittavatacharamhi samvedam punya sampadam sambe deva anumodantu sambe sampatti siddhya sambe bhuta anumodantu sambe sampatti siddhya Sambe satta anumodantu sambe sampatti siddhya.
Just one last thing to remember. Mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away.
I saw a bumper sticker in his
On our car wheel.
Thank you everyone who joined us over YouTube, and really appreciate your effort to practice from home, and thank you very much. We look forward to see you again maybe on Wednesday. So if you have more time, maybe you can go down to the